Welcome to Lesson 14B, Controllers in MVC. In ASP.NET MVC Framework, a controller is a class that takes a browser request and returns a response. The controller can issue any set of commands to the model, and it can render any view back to the browser. In short, it's the boss. Each controller contains one or more action methods, which is a special type of method that can pass data to a view. Action methods all return an instance of a class that is derived from the action result class. Different action result types are provided to handle the different tasks that the action method might want to perform. The most commonly used action result type is the view result. Action filters can be applied to either an individual action method or the entire controller. If an action filter decorates a controller, it is applied to all of the action methods in the controller. There are 4 types of action filters, and each type of action filter includes a collection of attributes. There's authorization, action, result, and exception type filters. Action methods do not directly return an action result. Instead, they call a method of the controller class. This is a list of the methods of the controller class that return an action result. There are view, a partial view, redirect, redirect to action, redirect to route, JSON, JavaScript, content, file, and an empty result, which just returns a null. An action method can take one or more parameters. The value of the parameter is automatically mapped from the data collection for the request. The data collection for the request includes routing values, request data, query string values, and cookie values. If the parameter cannot be found, and it is not a nullable type, an exception of type system argument exception is thrown. To create a new controller, right-click the Controllers folder and select Controller from the Add menu to open the Add Controller dialog box. In this lesson, you update an existing action method to see the impact of changing the action result that is returned by the action method, and use the Handle Error attribute to redirect the user to an error page in the event of an unhandled error. There are no lesson requirements. To get started, select New Project, ASP.NET MVC2 Web Application, enter Lesson 14B for the name of the application, and click the OK button. Open the Home controller and navigate to the About Action method and update the About Action method to return the current time as a content result. Now normally we've been returning a view, so let's see what happens if we just return content. Click the F5 button to run the application in debug mode. Click the About Us tab and you'll see that all that is rendered is the content, just the text, because that's what was sent by the action method. Now go back to the About Action method, and this time we're going to throw an exception. We're doing this to imitate what would happen if there was an unhandled exception in your application. Because we're in debug mode, when we hit the About Us button, we'll end up in the debugger. So we're going to hit Continue, and there is the error message. Now, in production, you don't want your users to be getting that screen. So you go to web.config, and we're going to add the custom errors element to the system.web element and set the mode to be on. So custom errors are now on. Click F5, hit the About Us tab again. It's going to throw you into the debugger. Continue, and there you have the error page. This error page is actually provided as part of the sample application, and it is in the shared folder under the Views folder. And this is the error page that's provided by default. All it says is, sorry, an error occurred while processing your request. The reason you were redirected to that is because the controller itself is decorated with the handle error attribute. Now you can also run your application without running the debugger by selecting or clicking Control F5, start without debugging, and then when you click the About Us tab, you get the sorry, an error has occurred processing your request.